in. Okay, Kushti. Right, welcome to the channel. My name is Stanley Ben. Today's video is going to be on Fire Manoeuvre. Right, so now I've just showed you a clip there from the 1995 film Heat, undoubtedly one of the greatest movies with Pacino, Niro and Val Kilmer. And the reason for this is because it's probably the best example of fire manoeuvre you'll ever see in a sort of film. Like the military advisor, or one of the military advisors on that movie was Andy McNabb. If you don't know who he is, he's an ex sort of Blade Regiment guy, like SAS. Right, so it's why it's so good. Right? And he's obviously taken those actors away for like weeks on end and just smashed them with weapons training and fire manoeuvre drills and break contact drills, right? Because it's so apparent in the movie that they've been trained well. So as always, I'll sort of try and break it down and sort of simplify it using sort of Armour 3 as a backdrop and a few other things, and we'll just go straight into it. Right, so what is fire manoeuvre? Right, so fire manoeuvre is a tactic used to bound on the battlefield in the presence of the enemy, especially when you're under fire. It can also coincide with break contact drills, as the direction of fire can come from anywhere. There's like a golden rule to fire manoeuvre, which is there's no movement without covering fire, right? So if you're going to take anything away, just take that away, right? Golden rule, no movement without covering fire. But before we sort of progress, I want to talk about types of contact. Now, there's two types of contact that you'll come across. You'll have like a soft contact where you've spotted an enemy presence and you've got tactical advantage of the situation, right? So that you've spotted them, they haven't spotted you. And then you've got like a hard contact, which is the enemy's pinged you and you're probably being engaged. You've also got another example of a hard contact is where you've seen the enemy and he's pinged you and he's about to raise his weapon, and then you get the drop on him, all right, and you start and initiate the hard contact, right, under the rules of engagement, and you're justifiably in your rights to defend yourself and obviously not take him out. So that's like a hard contact, another version of hard contact. So you've got a soft contact and a hard contact, and you don't really need to tell or say which contact is. You just need to know the differences between. So if I'm giving an example of a soft contact, it'll be half left 200 meters, you can see like 2 times enemy patrol, right? I'm just letting my guys know that. And if I've got a hard contact, it will just be contact right 50 meters, boom 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 boom. Yeah, so you can tell by someone's sort of pitch and tone of their voice what sort of contact it is. Okay, so that's the golden rule, and then that's 2 types of contact. Now with fire manoeuvre, you don't have to be under fire to apply it. If you can use it as a maneuvering element, if you want to get into an assault position to actually attack an enemy position. So you can just fire manoeuvre forward without firing. Yeah, so it can just be move, cover, move, cover, move, cover. Right. So that's formation. I'll show a few little pictures as we go along as well to try and sort of simplify it for you. But okay, so we're going to go straight into it then, and not in no particular sort of order. I'm just going to go through a few things. So the first thing is sort of formations. Now, in this sort of scenario, I'm just going to talk about sort of an 8-man section and then break it down. So you'll have an 8-man section then, okay, and you can break that down even further into 2 fire teams, okay, so 4-man fire teams. You'll have like Bravo and Charlie, right? 4-man fire teams. You can break that down even further into pairs of that fire team, right? So you can work in pairs if you fire manoeuvre in pairs, and then you can break that down even further into individuals, okay? So 2 guys just breaking it down and moving forward. So you've got the section, 8-man section, you've got 4-man fire team, you've got pairs, and then you've got individuals. Okay, so that's just a little bit about formations. Most sort of special forces teams, they work in sort of 4-man teams, right? So that's how they sort of operate. But it can go up to 6, 8, whatever it needs. But if you're going further than that, it turns into a sort of section battle drill or a section attack, and then you can go like full-on troop attacks with like 3 sections, okay? And you're doing like full section attack. So a section attack is sections fire manoeuvring, right? It's just a bigger version of it. And you can just break it down into individuals fire manoeuvring, all right? Now, another important thing is communication. If you ever talk to like a real signaller, they'll talk about you can talk about us, but you can't talk without us, or no comms, no bombs, all right? So the thing about communication is it's so important, but within fire manoeuvre, you need to keep it simple, keep it stupid, all right? So the wordage that you use needs to be simplified. We use a mnemonic in the Marines and in the British military, which is clap, all right, which is clear, loud as an order with pauses. You can utilize that in so many things, but it's really apparent in obviously radio communications, and especially in fire manoeuvre. You want to keep your words simple and effective and loud. Okay, so words like move, move in, set, covering, magazine, man down. All right, so what's that? It's like 6 words. Yeah, that's all I'm going to use because that's all I need. But it needs to be loud, because you love like blokes bounding forward, and if he's about 20 meters in front of you, he's going to hear you saying set or move. Yeah, so it needs to be loud and effective. Okay, so that's communications. It needs to be universal. Everyone needs to be singing off the same song sheet, so everyone needs to know what sort of words mean and when to use them. Right. Okay, so next we're going to talk about is bounding. So what is a bound? So if someone says to you, give me a couple of bounds, all it is, one bound is like 5 to 10 meters. So if you say, give me a couple of bounds, I'm just going to bound forward about 20 meters. All right, so give me another bound, I'll bound about 5 to 10. So that's bounding, and you want to bound utilizing cover and concealment. So cover is paramount. I can't stress that enough. So you should always be striving to achieve cover, especially if you're being fired at. You need to take into consideration whether your cover is effective in compared to what's been fired at you. So if you're standing behind a tree and someone's engaging from a static 50 cal machine gun, that's going to obliterate that tree. All right, so you need proper cover, but obviously cover that's available to you. So when you're bounding and moving forward, you should always be bound in 2 different cover positions. If you've got no cover available, then try and use concealment. Concealment comes in the form of large bushes, small sort of like walls, and shadows. Okay, anything that sort of breaks up your shape, okay, and sort of conceals you from the enemy. If you've got no cover or concealment available, you want to be getting down in a prone position and reducing the amount of exposure to that enemy, because if you're down in a prone position and giving covering fire, that is a form of cover. Okay, just like a blanket, a small little blanket of cover. So that's bounding, utilising cover and concealment. And then we've got magazine changes. Right, now this is a big one. This is so hard to do, counting rounds. Right, it's so hard to achieve because of the adrenaline and the sort of loudness of everything sort of going on. But if you've got a sort of weapon system with sort of 30 or 20 rounds, all right, then me personally, if I've got like an M4 or an SA80 or something like that, I know with 30 rounds I've got like 10 3-round bursts or ripple fires, yeah, so I can go boom 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 1, boom 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 2, boom 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 3, boom 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 4. Right, that's how I work it. That's how I count my rounds. I've got 10 3-round sort of bursts or ripple fires, and if I get to like 8 or 9, I know I'm ready for a mag change. That's how I count my rounds. So you want to be carrying out tactical mag change. Now a tactical mag change is where you're in control of carrying out a magazine, changing a magazine. A dead man's click is where you've expended all rounds and you're not in control, because you're going to click and you're getting a click. You're like, I've got dead man's click. I've got an empty magazine. So you need to carry out a magazine change. Right. So you want to be in control of that, and it's difficult to achieve once you're in a firefight. So the when to do a magazine change is when you're on the move. So if you're providing cover and fire for your oppo and he's moving forward, and then he says set, as I'm moving forward, I'm cracking a magazine change as I'm moving forward. And then when I get in a position, it only takes a second to do a magazine change, right? When I get into a position, I've got 30 rounds then ready to sort of cover for my oppo. And I want to shout over to him magazine. So once he's set and he's providing cover, if he hears magazine while I'm on the move and I get in position, he's going to feel great because I've got a fresh mag on, right? So yeah, that's magazine changes. So the worst thing ever is obviously getting a dead man's click when you're providing cover for your oppo. Like, you don't want to be put in that position. So it's difficult to achieve, and it needs practice, but you want to try and get used to counting rounds. Okay, so that's magazines. Right, next one is muzzle clearance. Now this is only really sort of apparent in break contact drills, because you're not really going to get someone crossing your muzzle clearance or your line of sight. But if you do, just be aware of it. Like, you should watch your muzzle clearance. So if you need to move left or raise while the guy crosses, okay, just be aware of sort of muzzle clearance. it's like weapon pointing in a safe direction at all times, so be aware of especially if you're in cover as well. So if you've got cover and your muzzle isn't reaching over that cover, like your line of sight and your bore sight, you might actually hit your cover, so you need to be aware of muzzle clearance, okay, whilst in cover. So that's very important. Okay, the next one then is sort of break contact drills. Now I'll show you a couple of clips of a couple of films actually carrying out break contact drills, and this comes apparent when you're kind of in a fire maneuver position assaulting someone and you know your limitations and you're being outgunned. So let's say you're assaulting a position and they've got a 50 cal static or a 7.62 static and it's overwhelming you. You can no longer move forward, and it then becomes a break contact. You would need to either fire maneuver backwards or peel to a flank, right? So left or right. So that is a break contact drill, and I'll show you a clip with an old film, Navy SEALs, with Charlie Sheen. It's actually great, and they do a nice sort of representation of a break contact drill to the front, where they're actually patrolling forward in a line formation. They get contact from the front. First guy puts down a volume of fire, and then he peels to the rear, and it just continues that effect, and that's how they get out of it. And then you've also got a nice little one with Tears of the Sun with Bruce Willis, where they're all in like a baseline of fire, just engaging the enemy, and they do a nice peel to the right. I'll show you a little clip of that one as well, because it's really good. But you would only sort of break contact to actually get out of a contact if you're being outgunned or you can't assault the position. Right, so that's sort of a break contact drill, and most sort of fire manoeuvres might fall into that category. Right, so peeling then, I just talked a little bit about peeling. So if you're taking fire, yeah, you're outgunned. A peel is where you've got 8 guys to the front, okay, so 8 guys to the front. This guy on the end, right, or this guy on the end will either peel to the left or he'll peel to the right. All right, as he goes past, he'll tap guys on the shoulder and he'll move off to a flank and he'll set and it will engage the enemy. And it's just a continuous ripple effect of peeling, right, left or peeling right. So that's peeling. I'll show you a couple of pictures there to try and sort of represent it, what peeling is. And it's actually good practice if you can go out and practice that on a sort of any sort of game, right? So you want to sort of peel into sort of cover or just getting away from the enemy. So next one then is covering fire and suppressing fire. Now, they're kind of the same. They have a lot of similarities, but they are also quite different as well. Like covering fire is more shorter, aimed shots, more accurate shots, whereas suppressing fire can be more prolonged with more volume, and it's more aggressive, and it's a good blanket of fire. So covering fire could be maybe a couple of shots like bomb, 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 and suppressing fire will be bursts like bomb, 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 bomb. Yeah, so that's the sort of differences between the two, but they are very similar. Okay, they are very, very similar. Now, little things I want to sort of add towards sort of fire manoeuvres is speed and momentum. So it's like clearing the building. Like speed and momentum is also very important. You want to sort of limit the amount of time that you're being fired upon. Initially, you want to win the firefight, so you want to put down as much volume of fire down as possible to actually keep the enemy's heads down. Right, that is the main objective, is to keep the enemy's heads down, because that would limit the fire that's being engaged onto you, so you can fire maneuver forward. And there's a great representation in the sort of heat clip that I'll show you later on of that. But speed and momentum is so apparent, so you can just get on the enemy, get out of that situation, and just hopefully take them out. So yeah, the main objective then is obviously to keep the enemy's heads down, get yourself into an assault position, sort of gaining tactical advantage of the situation over the enemy. You want to sort of post a grenade, go in there, clear them all, do a little reorg, regroup, and then just crack on. So that's everything I've sort of explained about fire manoeuvre. How long has that taken? What, 14 minutes? So hopefully that'll give you a general idea of it. So do go out and practice it. Okay, so what I'm going to do now, I'm just going to play that clip from Heat and just sort of talk through it. It's only about 1 minute 30 long. I'll just sort of talk through what we've just gone over and sort of pick out, I'll give it a little review at the end or whatnot. Alright, so let's just crack on. Okay, so straight away then, and being engaged by the cops to the front, they debus, one bloke goes left, one bloke goes right in cover, and they initially get a high rate of volume down trying to win the firefight. There you go, the first word of command then, which is go. You can see like the cops straight there, right, they're getting their heads down, so initially they're losing the firefight, so these guys are winning. Robert De Niro then pushing to the right, straight in cover, bounds forward, and he gets an initial rate of fire down. He takes one bloke down. Val Kilmer, muzzle clearance, you see that? Raised, turned, and down because they're being engaged from the rear now. Robert De Niro down on one knee, mag change, alright, a De Niro magazine, but he gets in cover and he starts engaging to the rear so they can push forward. You can see the other guy on the left there engaging to the rear, so Val Kilmer can push forward. Such a great rate of fire there. Okay, great bursts. Dead man's click, yeah, down on one knee, tactical mag change. Well, it's not tactical because it's dead man's clip, but he's back in, mega quick. Okay, the only thing I didn't there was a magazine change, but they're slightly pepper porting forward, alright. And there you go, he's keeping the objective, okay, he's keeping Pacino's head down. A bloke with a shotgun there. If he ain't got slugs, he's got no chance. I think that was a Galil on the left. I can't remember. But yeah, these birds, look at the devastation there, yeah? And it's actually quite fluid, okay? The speed and momentum is really good. Old FM foul doing the business, but at this stage they're completely outgunned. There you go, there's another word of command. I think this is where it turns to a break contact and they start peeling right now. So there you go, Val Kilmer pushing right. I would have tapped him on the shoulder because it's now a break contact drill. And then we'll stop it there because I think the guy on the left sort of lost his balls. But yeah, it's one of the greatest sort of representations of Fire Manoeuvre. And we'll just sort of talk about it then. So first thing I picked up then was the, I think it was the muzzle clearance. And this is more in regards to a break contact, but what he'd done there, because he was in the middle and he had guys on the left and right, he raised his weapon, turned, and then brought it down, obviously keeping the weapon pointing in the safe direction at all times, so he's not putting the guys on his flanks at risk. So that was good to see. And he'd done that a couple of times, obviously because he's got enemies to the front and to the rear. Okay, the bounding forward, and now there was only like little 5 metre bounds, but they were to cover each time, okay, because they're in like a traffic jam, they've got vehicles, they can utilise them as cover. So that was great to see, like good bounding forward. They were utilising cover quite well, but they were quite exposed from the rear. The communication between them all, yeah, it was clear, effective, it was loud, it was short, it was simple, and it seemed to work quite well. The only thing I didn't there was the magazine, because I want to know if guys have obviously got like they need to crack a magazine, because I wouldn't be pushing forward. They had a great high rate of fire down there. There were some great bursts going down there. Obviously, like they were tooled up to the max. They'd probably had about 400 or 500 rounds on them, and they're completely outgunning the cops who only had like sort of pistols and shotguns. So they just put it all down, and it was more of a suppress than covering fire. They were putting some proper volume down there, which was good to see, you know. And it actually got them out of the situation, which it was effective. It worked. And then you got the peel at the end. So this is where it sort of turned into a break contact, because they were getting engaged from the front and the rear. Their only sort of exits were to a flank, so they were going to peel to the right, and then you could see Val Kilmer sort of peeling to the right side, to the right flank. Unfortunately, the guy on the left got caught out. He lost his balls and that, but yeah, never mind. But yeah, it was great. It was really good. It's a really good scene. Definitely one for the books. So in summary, then, like, ammo conservation, I mean, you want to try and sort of count your rounds, but this is difficult, especially when like adrenaline's going. Aim shots, I mean, they were sort of aimed bursts, you know what I mean? They were just proper putting some rounds down, like it was such a great rate of fire. But you want to be, you need to be calling out magazine changes. Like obviously his drills were on the ball, he had a dead man's click, he was down, it was fluid, down on one knee, in cover, all right, cleared his weapon system, fresh mag on, and then straight back in, all right? That's what you want to see. So yeah, that's just a quick review of that little scene. Definitely check that movie out, because it is probably one of the greatest films you'll ever see, I promise you. Okay, so that concludes today's video on Fire Manoeuvre. If you enjoyed it, feel free to give it a like, comment or subscribe. If you've got any sort of comments about the video, also like put them down. If you think I'm full of shit or you got anything sort of add, yeah, just bang it down. I'll have a read, we'll have a little talk about it if you want. If you've got any sort of requests regarding sort of future content, then just put it down in the comments also. Or if you've got any sort of questions about joining the Marines or anything about Royal Marines at all, you can send me a little message on Instagram if I don't read the comments or I don't see your comments. The link is in the top of my YouTube channel, so just feel free to send me a message. But that being said, I hope you enjoy your day, and thanks for watching. Peace out.